Hey guys, how you doing? It's your boy Dave Partner. Let's answer the question today. Are we in a simulation? All right. First of all, let's look at what a simulation is. A simulation is a clone of an observable experience. Okay. More like an imitation of a situation. That's a simulation. So, is our reality a simulation? Let's look at three key factors that are present in every simulation, and then we compare it to our reality and see whether our reality matches. If it matches, then obviously we're in a simulation. Okay. First one is every simulation was made by an external creator. Okay, which means it also has an external observer. Now the observer is not always the creator. All right, not always. May be part of the creator or not, but an external observer that is not in the simulation. Okay, so a good example of a simulation is a movie. All right, you are watching the movie, but you're not part of the creators of that movie. All right, but you're watching it. So the creator also watched it, or is also watching it. Who knows? So you, the external observer, qualifies the simulation. Second thing is, a simulation has controls. Okay, the creator can control what is happening in the simulation. So in the case of a movie, whoever created the movie controlled what the characters would do in that movie. Okay, in the case of a video game, somebody sets the rules, and then there's a pad to control. You understand? The observer can control in the case of a simulation. In the case of a movie, the observer can turn off the movie. That's a control too. Put it on, that's a control. Okay? So finally, a limiting factor. So because this simulation was created to imitate a certain reality or imagination, okay, it is lower in what do you call it now? It is lower than the original reality it is imitating. Okay, so for instance, a movie is lower in terms of its quality and capacity than the real life event. Okay, a movie might be in 2D, you understand, but the real life event is in multiple dimensions. So if there's a movie about a prince in the village that married a young lady, it's a movie. All right, if there's a real life prince in the village, that real life prince in the village marrying a young lady will contain more information. There will be real sounds, there will be real village members. There are a lot of things that a movie can never be able to capture. All right, the movie only captures key scenes. So which means the amount of information the movie is using to simulate the main idea or reality is way lower. So every simulation is always lower in terms of the quantity of information it contains when representing what it is representing or what it is cloned out of. Okay, so now because of this, there are limits to what a movie can do, you understand, or a simulation can do. There are limits. So sometimes for the creator to create that simulation, for it to even be possible, the creator has to scale down a lot of things, you understand, add filters, scale down the sound, scale down cut out a lot of scenes, scale down a whole lot of things, you understand. Finally, in a simulation, the characters in that simulation cannot transcend out of the simulation and enter the reality. It cannot happen. So you can't be watching a movie and one day somebody steps out of the screen because they are in a different reality. They can't step out of the screen. They don't have enough information. In the screen, they are 2D. If they try to step out, they have to enter a different dimension. It's not possible. Okay, same with video game. No matter how much you play the video game, the character cannot step out and become a human. No, it's a different reality altogether. The information difference is too wide. So let's look at our reality. Is our reality a simulation? Think about it. Okay, first of all, external observer. Do we have an external observer? Is there any evidence? Some people might be thinking about angels and God and Satan and a whole lot of things, spirits. The thing is that we don't have evidence for all those things. We just believe them, but we don't have evidence. If I tell you to show me a spirit now, you can't show me. So we can't use that in this context, okay? But also, we can use ourselves. We are observing our own reality. We are observing our own reality. You open your eyes, you can observe. You're watching what is happening. which means your reality is lower in information and power capacity than you, the observer. You, the observer, is in a different context. You are in a different reality. A good example, a proof for that is that you have imagination, which can never be real. Real life does not have enough power to represent your imagination. So you can imagine a car flying today upside down, which is not possible as of today. Okay, you can imagine that you are in the moon, which your real life cannot represent. You can be, with your imagination, you can be in Pluto, and Pluto will not hurt you and you'll be back. The power of your imagination far outweighs reality, which proves that you are an observer. Now, as an observer, do you have control? Yes, you can turn off your reality by going to bed and you sleep. It's turned off reality. You can alter your reality by drinking substances and it knocks you off. So you're an observer, which means the reality we're experiencing is way, way lower than the actual capacity of your mind. Your mind is in a different reality. Now, can things move from physical into your mind? No. Your mind can only translate them. Your eye sees light, your mind translates them into a format that can be interpreted. But the light itself cannot get to your brain. Okay, so we are the observers of our own reality, which means we are higher than the reality we're observing. All right? So we have control in the sense that you can come and observe that your room is dirty and then you change the room, okay, clean it up. You have control. You're changing what is happening in your reality. The same thing with a game player, somebody that is having a control pad, controlling what the characters are doing. All right, but there are limits. Like there are certain things you can't make your character do in a game. All right, if it's a fighting game, you can't make the characters fall in love with each other because what, the guy that built the game set those rules. All right, in this case, in reality, are there limits? Yes, a car can only move as fast as a certain speed. Light in our reality can only travel a certain speed, and there's nothing we have that can ever overspeed or light. All right, that can ever surpass light in speed. So light is a proof that our reality has limits, and there are so many other limits. If you come into science, you see so many other constants. All right, observable, tested, proven constants that our reality cannot exceed. So for our reality to exist, it means that whoever created this or whatever created this, okay, who or what, okay, created this, had to set those limits for this existence to be possible. You understand? Those constants have to be set. If they are not set, it will be impossible to recreate the reality of that thing in this reality because the information will be too much to represent. All right? So that limiting factor is a proof that, yeah, there are some certain things we can do. It's a proof. Now, finally, the biggest question is, in order not to jump into an assumption, we can only imagine what was if we have this reality and we are the observers. It means that we are observing from a different reality. Okay, is there another reality that is observing us? Do we have another reality that is observing us? So are we in a simulation that is inside a simulation that is inside a simulation? How can we tell? Here's one way. If you pass enough information into a simulation, can the simulation create another simulation by itself? The answer is yes. For instance, if you write enough code into your computer algorithm, if you write enough code, can your algorithm wake up one day and create its own code? You understand? Without your own instruction. Yes, that's what we call artificial intelligence. All right? We have come to that point where we have created something that is able to get to a point and start creating other things of itself to satisfy its own needs. A good example is you're playing a game character, you understand, and you leave it, and the game character by itself decides to build its own game. Normal games can't do that, but I guarantee you it's very possible that one day a video game will contain so much information, so much algorithm, so much data that it will be self-aware and be able to create its own. You understand? Another good example is in the factory. If you have a factory, a production line where you have computers, you know, like machines creating cars. You know, the way they have rail line and cars are passing, and then machines are soldering, some are soldering, and the cars are moving, and then some will spray paint it, some will add some tires and everything. Like that, if we add enough information, if we program those bots, you know, can they wake up one day and start creating their own type of cars? Not just that, can they create other machines, you understand, by themselves without we telling them? The answer is yes. We know that this is possible because we now have artificial intelligence. We have, at this time in the history of humanity, we have artificial intelligence that can create pictures out of nothing. Okay, they observe a lot of things and then they can form pictures out of it. Okay, so it is very possible that we as a reality decided to create our own reality, which is we are existing, and then we create video games. Video games is another simulation of our reality. It's possible that one day the video games will create their own reality, which is your player in the game is now playing a game inside the game. Another good example is that we are experiencing reality, but we can dream. Inside the dream, our mind creates another reality, but the dream does not have enough information for as much as our reality has. So it's always a step lower than our reality. You understand? So if, for instance, in your dream, you can't hear real sound. Real sound cannot be in your dream, you know, and a whole lot of things. So at the end of the day, it is obvious that we are in a simulation, but also we are in a different simulation from the reality we're observing. And because we can observe the reality, we're able to create a sub-simulation. Now, if you go up, you understand, if you go up, do we have creators that created this reality, and are they observing and controlling us? We already know that there are limits, but are they observing and controlling? You understand? Now, many people will jump into, oh, I know it's a white man sitting in the skies, and we call him this, and he has a son, and this. Nah, that's you are jumping too much, because we don't know whatever is out there in our reality. We don't know. You understand? It could be an individual, or it could be a certain kind of things we can't imagine. Can the video game imagine the kind of person you'll be? No. The video game can never imagine. For them to be able to imagine the kind of person that created the video game, they have to experience reality. They have to step out of the game and experience the world. After they have experienced the world, now they can make a proper, correct guess of the nature of the individual that created the video game, or company that created the video game. But they can't step out. So we can't step out of this reality. Okay, since we can't step out, we can't tell the nature of what created this reality. Is it a mass of planets that came together and created? Oh, you understand? Is it some kind of photons? You understand? Is it a man that is sitting there that is old, that decided to have a family, you know, and they met a woman and they gave birth? You understand? There are a whole lot of things, but we can't, it's just beyond us to be able to tell what the creator of this is. You understand? Like the scientists say, oh, it's probably a Big Bang. Yes, but they don't know what happened before the Big Bang. So what came about before the Big Bang, nobody really knows. It's beyond the imagination. So now the other question is, should we now, since we can't imagine what is out there, should we now start worshiping it? That's another big jump. A good example is somebody saying, I can hear footsteps outside. I can hear noise outside the door. Let's say there's a door that is closed, and there are two people on one side, and those two people are discussing within themselves, and they say, somebody must be behind this door. For this door to have a handle, there has to be a handle on the other side. So from guessing that somebody must be behind this door, the other guy says, okay, since somebody must be behind this door, that person must be a dwarf, that is light-skinned, that is this, that means well for us. Now we have to pray and worship that person. You see, that's a big jump. We don't even know what is there, and you've already done all these assumptions, and now you're praying. You understand? So at the end of the day, this kind of discussion, it's safer to stick with what we know than what we don't know. Not that imagination is bad. We can imagine. It's a different reality. Okay, we can do all our imaginations, but if you want to be really real, we don't know what created, or who, or which created this reality, but obviously we are in a simulation.